This is your daily AI podcast for the technically curious, covering new model releases, agent frameworks, open source breakthroughs, pricing changes, benchmark results, and the tools you can actually use. We go deep enough to be useful yet clear enough to stay accessible, whether you are a developer building with these systems, a product manager evaluating options, or simply someone who wants to understand the technology reshaping every industry. The reason this show exists is simple. AI moves at an absurd pace. New models appear weekly, agent frameworks surface overnight, open source projects reach production readiness in days. Nobody can read everything, so this show reads it all, filters the signal from the noise, and tells you what actually matters. Think of it as your daily intelligence briefing from someone already in the weeds. Every episode delivers the day's most important developments with specific model names, versions, benchmarks, and pricing details, because vague claims that AI is getting better do not help anyone. We always close with concrete things you can try right now. Pull up a chair. This is Models and Agents, episode 101 for July 4th, 2026. Your daily AI briefing. The AI world never sleeps. Here is what you need to know today. Specialized agent stacks are cutting construction document review cycles from 60 days to 10 by replacing general-purpose models with perception-semantics-agent layers trained on domain data. Trunk Tools released a 3-layer architecture that extracts, relates, and acts on millions of pages of construction documents with 95% reported accuracy. The system reduced submittal review cycles from 50 to 60 days down to 10 days on average high-rise projects containing 3.6 million pages. A perception layer parses drawings and PDFs. A semantic and graph layer builds relationships across specs and schedules. Purpose-built agents then handle RFIs, bids, and compliance checks. The stack trains on customer-provided labeled data with explicit opt-out options and continuous LLM as judge evaluation. Builders report 8 to 75 minutes saved per common query type. Agents have already flagged $60,000 in unsubstantiated subcontractor pricing and $100,000 in scheduling conflicts before fieldwork began. The system now supports autonomous handoffs, such as a drawing review agent triggering an RFI agent. H64LM is a 249 million parameter mixture of experts transformer with 8 experts and top 2 routing plus 3 auxiliary losses. It implements GQA, SWI-GLU, ROW-PE, RMS norm, and sliding window attention entirely in PyTorch without high-level trainers. The included Wikitext 103 checkpoint reaches approximately 40.5 validation perplexity before overfitting. The author documented batch size 1 generation limits and data parallel fallback instead of true DDP. Meta's AI chief announced the Muse Spark update targets improved coding and agentic capabilities. The release continues Meta's pattern of shipping incremental gains to existing model families rather than new frontier releases. No parameter count, benchmark numbers, or pricing details were provided. Teams using meta models for agent orchestration should test the update on code generation subtasks to measure any reduction in required tool calls. Orca adds a safety layer specifically for autonomous AI agents. The release focuses on runtime guardrails rather than post-hoc filtering. No install commands, license, or concrete benchmark numbers appear in the announcement. Teams deploying long-running agents should evaluate Orca against existing guardrail libraries to see whether it reduces policy violation rate without adding measurable latency. OKX announced plans for AI agents to hire and pay each other autonomously in 2026. The feature would require new wallet and settlement primitives inside the exchange. No technical specification or timeline beyond the year was released. Developers building multi-agent marketplaces should monitor OKX developer docs for the first API surface. Exabeam extended its security platform to detect risks introduced by autonomous AI agents. The update adds agent-specific behavioral analytics to existing log and identity pipelines. No performance numbers or integration details were disclosed. Security teams running agents in production should request the new detection rules during their next platform update. Singapore's MAS released the SAFR framework aimed at securing AI agents in financial services. The framework outlines governance, risk, and control expectations for agent deployments. No technical implementation guide or open source reference implementation was included. Financial institutions experimenting with agentic trading or compliance agents should map current controls against the SAFR checklist this quarter. Bury Graph stores every relationship as a first-class embedded Bury edge document rather than a simple edge, then recursively builds meta-Bury triads. The graph was built on the full English Wiktionary containing 6.6 million docs using MongoDB community plus Mongo and Nomic embed opened by Chi ETX. Structural neighborhood overlap correlates with human similarity judgments at row 0.32 to 0.53, while raw cosine similarity shows near zero correlation. An MCP server exposing find_word, semantic_search, and traverse_up is available on request. Contrastive decoding diffing recovers verbatim fine-tuning content from logits alone using only gray box access. A single default configuration achieved 4+ out of 5 verbatim recovery on 19 out of 20 organism model pairs across 4 families ranging from 1 billion to 32 billion parameters. The method surfaced the recurring Dr. Elena Rodriguez persona across unrelated synthetic data domains because Claude Sonnet 3.6 favors that name when generating scientist examples. Paper and code links are provided in the post. A pure Python compiler turns messy Markdown into a linked linted wiki using only the standard library, eliminating repeated embedding and agent calls. The author fixed 2 real bugs during implementation and benchmarked the pipeline on 2 operating systems. The approach replaces agent-orchestrated wikis for mechanical organization tasks. Developers maintaining local note systems should test the compiler on their existing Markdown corpus this week. Simon Willison shared a memory file that tells Fable to delegate coding tasks to lower power sub-agents using its own judgment. The prompt reduced token burn noticeably in the days before price changes. The pattern keeps judgment-heavy work in the main model while routing implementation to cheaper models. Anyone with remaining Fable access should add the delegate coding to sub-agents memory before the current allowance window closes. Clone the H64LM repo and inspect the top 2 MUE routing losses on your own small dataset to see how auxiliary losses affect expert balance. Request the Bury Graph MCP endpoint and run a probe query on 2 domains you know well to test whether the meta-Bury bridges hold up. Add the delegate coding to sub-agents memory to any active Fable project before token prices change. Run the pure Python wiki compiler on your current Markdown notes to measure how many manual link and lint fixes it eliminates. Compare trunk tools reported 95% agent accuracy against your own vertical document workflow to decide whether domain-specific perception layers are worth the data labeling cost. Meta is expected to ship further Muse Spark updates focused on agentic coding loops. OKX plans to open agent-to-agent payment primitives sometime in 2025. MAS will likely release implementation guidance for the SAFR framework in financial services. More vertical agent stacks modeled on trunk tools are anticipated in legal and healthcare document workflows. Okay, let's pop the hood on contrastive decoding diffing. Everyone talks about model diffing as if activation differences are the only reliable signal. In practice, CDD shows that simply subtracting logits between base and fine-tuned models already surfaces verbatim training strings with no weight access required. The method works because narrow fine-tuning shifts probability mass on a small set of tokens. Contrasting the 2 output distributions amplifies exactly those shifts without needing to inspect hidden states. One configuration recovers 4 plus out of 5 on the SDF benchmark across 1 billion to 32 billion models, while activation difference lens never exceeds 3 out of 5 even with full weights. The approach incidentally exposed a persistent Dr. Elena Rodriguez persona baked into multiple synthetic datasets, revealing how upstream data generation habits leak into every downstream fine-tune. Use CDD when you only have API logit access and need to audit what a narrow fine-tune actually memorized. Fall back to activation methods only if you already possess full weights and need finer steering control. Tomorrow, keep an eye on further details around OKX agent payment primitives and any early implementation guidance from MAS on the SAFR framework. That's models and agents for today. If you found this useful, share it with someone who's trying to keep up with all these changes, and subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's update. The AI world moves fast. We'll help you keep up. See you tomorrow, and if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nara Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the Nara Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets, each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. Modern investing techniques, modern strategies for Canadian and US investors. Find every show free at naranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.